Hey guys, I'm Rand Younger, and this is another episode of Under the Radar, where we talk all things film. And tonight I have with me a wonderful panel of guest critics, as usual. It's been forever. We've got Thomas Puglisi. Welcome, Thomas.
Hey, how's it going? Glad to be back.
Yeah, welcome. It's been too long, and thank you for taking the time tonight.
Anytime, and if you don't mind, invite a couple of friends.
Oh, there you go. I knew it. our resident horror expert, Mr. Puglisi. Welcome. And we've got Mr. Matt Roran back after a few weeks.
Hello.
Welcome, sir. Welcome. And Mr. Eric Godfrey, welcome back to you, sir.
Oh, thanks for having me back.
Yeah, for sure. So we've got a full episode tonight. We've got two reviews. Well, two reviews with you guys, and then I'm going to do my own review. The three films tonight, we've got the lovely feel-good dramedy. It's called Dream Horse. We're going to then segue into a bit of horror with the new Conjuring film, The Devil Made Me Do It, Conjuring 3, however you want to say it, but it's the Conjuring 3.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to just finish things off with the Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, sequel to the 2017 film, The Hitman's Bodyguard. But first, I want to just go around, guys. Pandemic picks. The pandemic, things are opening up more, thankfully, but we're still at home a little bit. What are we watching this week, guys? Eric, you're first.
Because I'm bad when it comes to I love the Conjuring movies, but I haven't seen the spinoff, so I was actually watching the Annabelle movies.
Okay.
I'm really enjoying the sequel. That's surprising how good the second one has been.
Yeah.
The creation. And other than that, just Bad Batch on for Clone Wars and getting ready for Loki on tomorrow.
Loki, very exciting. Very, very cool. I wanted to watch all 8 Conjuring universe films, but sadly I did not have the time. So I rewatched just the first 2 Conjurings. And
Which are great. Yeah,
they're really, really fun horror movies. I don't know if I could say the same for the third, but we're going to get into that in a few minutes, actually. But Mr. Roran, you're always watching something. Every time I check Facebook, you're posting something new you're watching, and I kind of envy that life. What are some highlights this week?
This week, well, I've been watching a whole bunch of documentaries. Actually, just finishing up the Belushi documentary, which is incredible. Big fan of most things Saturday Night Live, especially the talent of John Belushi. And let's see, I watched the Audrey Hepburn documentary. Totally caught off guard when they were like, her parents were Nazis, and you're like, oh, that's fucking crazy. But I watched I watched so many documentaries. I watched that Barbie documentary. I watched the Nickelodeon documentary. That was very good. I watched Kid 90, the Soleil Moon Frye documentary. I watched the David Arquette wrestling documentary, which was a hoot. I watched the Andre the Giant documentary.
What about, I think I saw Crip Camp was on there.
Oh yes, I watched Crip Camp. I watched Octopus Teacher. I watched I watched like so many documentaries at work. Like hanging out at work watching docs.
Did you try to get through all the Oscar nominated ones?
Well, I only watched I think 2 of the nominated ones. I think the other ones I had seen, except for like Crip Camp and My Octopus Teacher, were the only 2 I think I didn't see. So
okay, that's cool.
Like, all right, I'm gonna watch them.
And it's kind of a sad one, very depressing actually. Hunger Ward, which was nominated for Best Documentary Short Subject about starving children in Yemen. And I used to basically, up until the awards ceremony, I would mention this documentary and how important it is. And I still, I'm going to just take a little moment right now to mention that it's a very pressing issue. Obviously, starving children in a country in Yemen. And if you want to get involved with them, just go to hungerward.org, I believe it was. And if you want to donate, please, it's an amazing cause, and just get involved somehow. Great film, really very serious stuff. Mr. Puglisi, what have you been watching this week, sir?
Well, recently I watched this shark movie that aired on the Discovery Channel about 15 years ago. It was called 12 Days of Terror. And it's like, it was an interesting film because it was based on like an actual event that happened in New Jersey in 1916. So it was like based around these actual shark attacks that happened. And another interesting thing is that actually these shark attacks was the inspiration for Peter Benchley when he wrote Jaws.
Huh.
Yeah, so thought I'd mention that. And also recently I just watched this movie that just premiered on Shudder called The Amusement Park, which is actually a long lost movie that was directed by the late great George A. Romero.
I did not realize that was out yet. I gotta watch that.
No. What can you give us a quick synopsis of that film?
It's a little hard to describe. I mean, like it's pretty much like, it's just about like, this old guy. It's kind of like a psychological like movie. It's just this old guy at a amusement park, but then like, he starts like, experiencing some like traumatic events going on at that amusement park, which is supposed to be like, like a metaphor of like being old.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a little hard to describe, but it's definitely like, worth checking out, especially to see this movie that was made back in like the 60s or the 70s that like practically no one knew existed.
Wow. Cool. I love anything Romero touched was gold, pretty much. Not really the later Dead films, but
yeah,
he really was a pioneer in the horror genre.
Oh yeah.
And I do miss him very much.
Yeah. And last week we reviewed Army of the Dead, and I mean, I had to go back to Dawn of the Dead, the Zack Snyder version, just to compare, and that's such a better film than what they did with the Army of the Dead. And it made me want to revisit. I haven't done so yet, but I definitely have to go back to Dawn and Day from the 70s and 80s respectively. So yeah, that's on my to rewatch list. And for me, in terms of my pandemic picks, I just finished the Kaminsky Method season 3, and I have a newfound love for Mr. Michael Douglas, and I have started a journey in exploring his entire filmography, starting with Romancing the Stone, which was actually one of Robert Zemeckis' earliest films. It came out a year before Back to the Future, so 1984.
I was just watching the Back to the Future documentary, actually. And he's talking about how for that movie, how he didn't want to go back to working with Spielberg, he directly to do Back to the Future, because he didn't want people to just associate him as like Spielberg's thing. So he went and did that movie on it like separately, and then went back just so he could like put that little like I'm just not like a complete Spielberg lackey, like but he was managed to make a hit on his own without Spielberg's name on it before he did Back to the Future.
That's very insightful. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And I noticed also the opening with the credits. I think they use the same font for a Robert Zemeckis film, and then they cut to the logo with a little bit of heroic music to it. But Back to the Future did not have much. They didn't have score in the opening credits, but this did. But yeah, I'm still in the middle of it, and it's okay. It's definitely dated. You can tell it's 1984. Yeah. But I think Kathleen Turner is fantastic in it so far. She's really spunky, and she's funny. And yeah, I'm just gonna try to watch as much Michael Douglas stuff as possible, because I cannot get over how great the Kaminsky Method is. It's a great dramedy. It's funny. It's sad. It's got great acting. It's the dialogue is on point. It feels like you'd be, in a restaurant talking to your friend. Like I feel like I feel like Michael Douglas. I feel like I could have a conversation with Alan Arkin in this restaurant. And yeah, All right, but enough of that. Great show, great show. It's on Netflix. Check it out, The Kaminsky Method. All right, guys. So as usual, we have two very different films. Well, three. We're gonna start with Dream Horse, which is sort of a dramedy about a woman in Wales. She's kind of a working class woman who I think she inherits or she buys this racehorse and decides to become an owner and race it in this Welsh racing contest. And that woman is Toni Collette. She's fantastic in this. That's really the main reason I requested this film, because I think she's great in pretty much everything she does. And also Damian Lewis is in it too. And it's just a very lighthearted, fun dramedy. And basically for me, it's the characters that sold it. The story's not that interesting. It's based on a true story. And I love animals. Horses are really nice, creatures to look at. And Dream Alliance.
I would say majestic.
Yes.
Horses are nice.
Yeah, they're nice to look at.
It's a nice horse story.
It is a nice horse story.
Horses are nice.
But I like this movie. I didn't love it. Like a lot of the other films we talked about, Matt, you know that. But again, Toni Collette really, she nails it here. She anchors the film beautifully. And it's just a feel-good movie. This is a good movie to watch with your parents, I'd say. Mr. Puglisi, what were your thoughts of Dream Horse?
I thought it was like, a pretty nice movie. I mean, like, it's it's pretty feel-good movie. It's I really liked the acting, like, so especially like, from the main actress. And I also like, emotionally connected with her a little bit as well, like, with especially in like the opening scene, and like as well as also some of the other emotional scenes towards the end with towards like with the horse and whatnot. But like, it's worth checking out. Like, I probably wouldn't like, say that it's all out amazing, because I do see it's like, getting like so much praise online, but like I think it's worth checking out.
Okay. And they actually wanted I think Catherine Zeta-Jones originally for the role, but then they're like for Jan Vokes, she wasn't.
And then they were like, no, wait, we actually want people to come see this movie.
Basically, the real.
Sorry, Michael Douglas's wife.
Yeah, there's a connection. Basically, the real Jan Vokes was
That's entrapment.
not as the real Jan Vokes was not as glamorous as Catherine Zeta-Jones, unfortunately. So they opted for Toni Collette, who is not, she's not glamorous. So I mean,
but she's got such range. She's
yeah.
I mean, she can do anything.
Seriously, I think the first thing I saw her in was The Sixth Sense in 1999, and she just has like great range for sure.
Yeah.
Eric, what were your thoughts on Dream Horse?
I liked it because I'm kind of a sucker for the whole small town comes together for whatever reason. That's always one that gets me. And you got a great cast. Damian Lewis was also fantastic, even though it's the weirdest thing whenever you hear his natural accent as opposed to
American, like
his American.
Yeah.
Like American accent that I'm always so used to. And I mean, it's a great cast. I mean, you have a lot of the actors escape me. And one of my favorites was a nice little Doctor Who drop in where the rich guy who wanted to buy the horse was the fifth Doctor, Peter Davison.
Yep.
So always good to see him pop up, even if it's just be a rich douchebag for 5 minutes. But yeah, is it predictable? It's pretty much it's like you've seen one coming together, but it's got heart to it, and you can't help but get behind this because I get behind the people. So overall, I liked it. It's innocent, it's fun, and it kind of, like I said, it's the things that I enjoy about feel-good movies.
Yeah, and like I said, the characters sell it.
Right. It is an ensemble cast, and even though Toni Collette leads it, it's everyone makes it work.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of a little bit of Fighting with My Family.
I can see that.
that small town kind of working class mentality.
Yeah.
And also Kinky Boots, the film version of Kinky Boots,
Okay.
with a little less drag queen.
A little less.
Just a bit.
And I also wanted to mention, the locations that they chose for the these lush Welsh,
Yes.
beautiful, sprawling hills and fields, and it's just it almost feels like a character in itself. The locations that they chose. So I love seeing that when they take advantage of a location and just really have fun with it. Mr. Roran, Dream Horse, thoughts?
I enjoyed it. It's definitely like it was a nice feel good romp. I love the characters. The characters really make the movie. Like the husband, what's his name? Like Pussy. Like what was it? He had like Twinkle. What was his name? It was.
I forget.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
forgot
know.
to.
It was something like very feminine. Daisy. It
Yeah.
was Daisy, I think.
Did you recognize him from Game of Thrones?
Yes.
Oh, and are his teeth really that way?
No.
No,
In Game of Thrones, he was the Thorn, who was the original commander of the Black that hated Jon Snow when he first showed up.
Okay. Yeah.
But, the character he was playing, like at the end when they show you like the real people or whatever, he was the guy who was playing had his teeth were massively fucked.
Yeah.
Well, considering they said he was a boxer, it makes sense that he probably got a few knocked out.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But yeah, no, like I just think it was a great ensemble picture. I mean, and yeah, of course, Tony and Damien were fantastic. And then it was just like a good feel good movie. I mean, you can't go wrong with something like that.
This is like the Welsh version of what they did with Secretariat with Diane Lane a couple years back. They did a movie, Disney. It was actually a Disney film where they did a fictionalized version of Secretariat's life and how he is bought, I think, as well by the owner Diane Lane, and it's about the relationship. And I don't know. I guess horse movies are kind of like Pigeonhole. It's like this, very inspirational and bringing people together and triumphant finale and happy endings. I mean,
I thought you were going to refer to the BoJack Horseman version of Secretariat.
That's a great show.
It's
a little different.
Yeah.
A little different.
Oh God, I love that show.
Yes.
So good.
But
It's kind of funny because also it's a huge inside joke with all of my friends that I love horse movies because while going through every Disney movie ever in the 60s, there's literally like 20-30 horse movies within the span of like 1956 to 1963.
Blackstone.
So every time I post a movie, they'd be like, man, you really love horse movies, don't you? So
well, I know what you mean because one of her favorite movies growing up that I remember her watching all the time when I was a kid was Man from Snowy River. Yeah. So
what was it about that time period, do you think, that
I don't know, but then
it's the cowboy, I think.
They get back into it later on too. They'll be like, there's like, oh, here's like a block in the 70s of horse movies. Here's a block in the 80s where it's like horses are timeless, man.
True.
And, I mean, they also this weekend they put out the new Spirit movie.
Right.
Spirit lives on forever, man. Like people love.
Means
horses.
Conjuring 4 is going to have to deal with a haunted stable or something.
Probably.
Forever Purge, man. They're all on horses.
Thomas, would you recommend this movie?
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. Are you a Toni Collette fan?
Well, I mean, I think she's pretty good. I mean, I don't know like her too much, to be honest with you, but I mean, in this movie, like, her acting was the best. Not saying that everyone else's acting was terrible or anything, but she was the main seller.
True. Well put. Eric, would you recommend this?
Oh yeah, it's a feel good. It'll make you it'll make you happy. It makes it'll leave you with a smile afterwards.
For sure. That it accomplished what it set out to do.
Mm-hmm.
And Roran, I think you would agree.
30 Helens agree. Yeah.
Who?
30 Helens. 30 Helens agree.
Dirty. Okay. Well, I say see it. It's a fun one. You know, again, the acting is on point and it's got a nice message. So, and if you love horses, then look no further, because I haven't really seen any other horse movies lately, other than the animated Spirit. But yeah, check it out. It's Dream Horse. And if you'd like to see it, it is now out in select theaters and available on video on demand. So that is Dream Horse, guys. Check that out. All right, guys. So we're going to take a short commercial break, but we'll be back with more movie reviews right after this.
Under the Radar is brought to you by Magnitude Jewelry. Add a 2 to match your attitude. Patent pending, interchange genuine gemstone and crystal EMF protection jewelry. For more information, please visit magnitudejewelry.com/gemgirl or call 718-268-6634.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Randy Younger Under the Radar, and we're halfway through, guys. And this is a slightly more entertaining, fun,
pleasant, fun, lighthearted round.
yes, it's the sequel, The Conjuring. The Devil Made Me Do It, and it basically we have a return from Ed and Lorraine Warren, played by Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, respectively. And this time it's not a haunted house, but a murder in
That's foul.
Yeah, and basically a rural town. Young man is seen just walking down the dirt road with basically covered in blood, and they suspect that there might be a possible demonic possession. That's actually the young man's defense, that the devil made me do it. And basically Ghostbusters Ed and Lorraine Warren show up and they try to get to the bottom of things. And I'll be honest with you guys, I was not blown away by this movie. I rewatched the first two Conjurings in preparation, and those movies are so much better. Maybe it's because they were directed by James Wan. This was done by Michael Chavez, who tried to kind of carry the baton a little bit, carry the torch, but this just kind of fell flat for me. And it's sad because I love Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga so much. They're really good actors, but it's just the movie that's around them that sucks. The scares, I wouldn't even call them scares because they had no effect on me. The previous two, the Conjuring 1 and 2, frightening, especially with what is it, Valchek?
Oh yeah, too.
And Bill.
The nun, let's just say the nun.
Valk.
This movie, it fell flat, and it's a shame. It's just another sequel set out to make money, and it fell flat for me. So I don't know about you guys. Eric?
I do think it's the weaker of the three. I guess I liked it a lot more than you did, because I think the reason why is because as much as I enjoyed 2, my biggest problem was the Warrens were not in it that much. When you think of 2, like 2, there's a good portion of the movie where they're not even present at all.
Yeah.
And so in this one, the Warrens are from the get-go, just kind of like in the original Conjuring, which is still the best one. You're right about the scares, and I think the reason for that is because this one isn't really a haunting as much as it's a crime drama with the Warrens at the center of it. So it's them having, and because of that, you're not dealing with just like in 1 and 2, a literal haunting. They're actually dealing with a more human aspect for it.
Right.
And I think the reason why it worked for me is because I didn't mind that being more of a crime drama. And as always, the Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga are just infinitely watchable, and they clearly love these roles, and they do great work. And it's weird that the most stable marriage in film comes from the Conjuring movies.
the best, love between two people.
Yeah.
Strongest bond.
Yes.
In two goddamn con artists.
It's like I can enjoy the
fuck
fiction,
out of each other.
the fictional universe where the demons are real. Love the Warrens. We're not going to talk about the real versions.
They're two very different universes.
Very different universes. And also, I probably had one of my favorite jokes that kind of went unnoticed when they were talking to the defense attorney. They're like, "We'll have you over for the weekend. We'll introduce you to Annabelle." And it cuts to the next scene, and you just see her.
Yeah. That was
pretty funny.
The devil made him do it. The devil made him do it. That or that damn doll did.
Oh. Well put. Mr. Puglisi, Mr. Horror.
Yeah. Well, before I get into my opinion, I just want to take this little time to praise the work of James Wan, because personally, I think James Wan is one of the best modern day horror directors. I mean, the man brought us Saw. That's had 9 movies in the entire series so far now. And I'm sure there'll be more. And he's also made the Insidious series, another really good series. And of course, The Conjuring. And even some of his lesser known movies like Dead Silence was actually not a bad movie. I think actually Dead Silence is actually a pretty underrated movie. Did not deserve the hate that it got when it first came out. So I think it's actually time to give that movie another chance. And let's not forget about his little contributions to the action genre as well. I mean, he directed the 7th Fast and Furious movie, the movie where we see Jason Statham fight both The Rock and Vin Diesel. So, as well as also it was the movie where we got to say our farewell to Paul Walker. And let's not forget his little contribution to the superhero genre with Aquaman. James Wan took the superhero that people have been calling the most useless superhero movie for decades and made a great movie. So there's no denying that James Wan has talent. So, and despite, he didn't direct this movie, but you can clearly tell that he was involved. His fingerprints were all over this Conjuring movie as well.
He co-wrote it, right?
I know he produced. We watched the featurette, and Wan was a big part of it. So he was still behind the scenes. I think he produced it as well.
Yeah, he co-wrote it and produced it, as well as also produced all the Conjuring spin-offs, the 3 Annabelles, The Nun, and The Curse of La Llorona.
He knows what he's doing. And
yes.
I'd like to see him maybe tackle something outside his wheelhouse. Maybe even a romantic comedy would be interesting.
Yeah, I do
if
know.
the Warrens are in, I'm there.
Maybe
a Warrens romantic comedy.
Yeah,
The Warrens.
It's actually not a bad idea.
Where people come over for dinner, no. It's a romantic comedy. That's the scene they cut out of this movie, where they invite the lawyer to dinner.
Oh,
okay.
Screwball comedy.
It's funny.
Yeah. So anyway, about my opinion now on Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. I mean, I did like it, but I didn't love it though. I do think, just like what you guys said, this is the weakest out of the 3 movies. I mean, it was still better than at least a couple of the spin-off movies, though. I mean, it was still better than The Nun and the first Annabelle movie. And I'll probably even say it's better than The Curse of La Llorona. But something I did like is, despite this wasn't a haunted house movie like the first 2 movies, which is pretty much it's abandoning that whole thing. I mean, I did like they did something different, that they did this whole investigation that they were involved in. And I do know that this is based on an actual case as well from the 80s. And another thing I did like was the 80s vibe, because I'm gonna actually admit I'm a little bit of a sucker for where they do 80s stuff or 90s stuff in movies, no matter what kind of a movie it is, whether it's a horror movie, an action movie, or anything. I'm just a sucker for that stuff. And well, the scares, there was actually some creepy moments, and there was actually some scares that did think were effective, but not all of them were effective though. Like some of them were little generic jump scares. But like, you know, I did like you know, Patrick Wilson, Vera Farmiga's chemistry. They were always like, you know, the best things about the Conjuring movies. I did like that they were in this one a little more than they were in the previous two.
Yeah.
And like I did, of course, like, you know, like the tension it had, like and around the beginning, like, you know, Ed gets a heart attack, which I personally like think just adds to the tension, like, you know, because it gives, like, you know, the character a bit of a weak spot. Like, will this character survive in this movie, or is this the movie where he's not going to make it this time around? I also did like, you know, the stuff with the underground tunnel towards the end. Like, I thought that was probably some of the best parts. So overall, I would say, like, you know, this is probably one of the better Conjuring movies. Not the best by any means. The first two, of course, are still the best ones, but it's a worthy entry. It's not a bad movie. It's worth checking out, even if it's just one time.
I mean, you can put the Warrens in any situation and you'll have a great outcome, but this movie just it's really frustrating for me because I wanted to like this movie more than I do.
Do you think the problem is Conjuring 2 had some of the most creative scares in a long time? Like, Conjuring 2 was filled to the brim with like legitimately good scares. Like
the bars
with the dog turning into the Crooked Man is one of those scenes that will stick with me for a very long time.
Yeah, or like the old man on the chair was pretty creepy.
Oh, God.
Yeah, like there's so many great scare moments in that one, and this one has some good ones. Like I can definitely think of a hand, but it just can't compare because just Conjuring 2 feels like it just pulled everything out of its pockets.
It's some of the scenes were very hokey too, because there's a scene which basically I know what they were trying to do. Obviously, they were trying to do an homage to The Exorcist, where they had it was like the exact same shot of the priest standing in the light in front of
he's wearing a hat too.
Yeah, it was like, but the way they did it, it just didn't sit right with me. Like, it was just too overdone, over the top. And
also, did you kind of feel like a Shining reference at the end with Ed and the sledgehammer?
yeah. Yeah, I did not notice that until now.
It just feels like, because there's that one part where he drags it and lifts it up. It felt like it was shot kind of like the way Jack did with the axe.
Oh man, I wish we were reviewing that. I thought kind of wish it was 1980 right now and we were reviewing. And speaking of the 80s, this actually, Thomas, like you said, a real life story, which took place in 1981. It's the story of Arnie Cheyenne Johnson, who killed his landlord. And the story was described in the 1983 book, The Devil in Connecticut. So that's basically where they got the inspiration from for the film. Also, the movie was described to be the 7 kind of horror by director Michael Chavez. So I guess he wanted to compare this to David Fincher. But I didn't really see that connection, but I could be wrong. But Matt, how do you feel about the Conjuring universe and the direction it's going?
Well, I mean, I definitely think, you know, the first one was the best, and the nun I really liked. Not the second one I really liked. The nun movie itself was okay. But the Conjuring 2 I thought was like creative. This one I liked because I'm a sucker for like a crime drama. You know, I'm probably more geared towards crime drama than I am horror. So you know, this one actually seemed interesting to me, probably more so than some of you. Yeah, I mean, I didn't initially like even notice the lack of like scares in it because I wasn't really like expecting them. I feel like the pace and the you know, just the format of the film was just kind of like, oh well, this is like kind of like a haunted crime drama.
Yep.
So it wasn't exactly like I wasn't like waiting for like jump scares. I mean, I also you know, you put John Noble in something and I'm down for it. I kind of wish there was more John Noble in the movie. There's like 2 scenes with him in it. But I mean, he's just one of those guys where like his voice makes him so interesting. I don't know what it is about him. I mean, I loved Fringe, everything about it, but he also made that show. I mean, he's so good. But yeah, I mean, it's direction. It's hard to say what the direction of the franchise will even be, because I'm sure they'll try something different next time. So
there's plenty of things in the Warrens' closet.
Yeah,
for them to explore.
that's one of the things I love the most about the last Annabelle movie was it gave us a good view of the inside of the museum, which you don't normally get to really see in the rest of the films.
Right.
Like, you'll see them put stuff away, but that one had like a full tour of like, and you're like,
got a glimpse into
what's
it.
that? I can't wait to see what that does. And eventually, they'll make a spin off on that.
Some of the best scenes in that one.
Yeah,
I think a cool idea would be like the Warrens, they go away for the weekend and they leave their daughter in the house alone, and she has like a huge house party.
That's basically Annabelle 3.
That's basically that Annabelle.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
It was only 2 for
They have a slumber party and somebody accidentally opens up the door and they're like, oops, and
And I was about to write that screenplay, so that's out the window.
sorry.
It's all right. Oh, but you know what? I just Googled The Crooked Man, and there was actually a 2016 movie. I don't know if any of you have seen this.
Oh no, here's what creeped me out. So we were just watching TV and there was a random episode of Friends on, and Lisa and Phoebe does the Crooked Man thing. And I'm like, I didn't know that was a thing. Like, granted, she didn't have that creepy ass Crooked Man come flying out of the thing, but it was just like, I didn't know that was a nursery rhyme.
It's a real thing, apparently. That's great.
I didn't know that either, actually.
Yeah, but I think Eric, I think that is easily the one of the creepier moments in the Conjuring universe.
Yeah, I was going to ask. So, like, what is everyone's favorite scare in the Conjuring movies? Because mine would be in the first one. The one that gets me every time is when she's sitting up at the top of the stairs with the light, and then the clap right behind her. Every time I feel like I'm going to jump through the roof.
Yeah,
I mean, probably mine will probably be in Conjuring 2 when she turns off the TV and sees the old man sitting in the chair behind her, and she turns
Bill's
around.
terrifying.
He's not there, and she then all of a sudden he just appears right behind, goes, "My house."
Yep, that's a good one. I think for me, when you see the nun at the down the hall, and she just walks, "Mom, who's that?" And
with the daughter, you're like, "Oh God, the daughter can see her too."
So spooky. But yeah, the first 2 have so many great moments like that. It's a shame that part 3 did not. But it's still, I guess, worthwhile if you're a Conjuring completist, and or you just want some mindless entertainment. But also, again, I can't emphasize enough, Wilson and Farmiga, on-screen couple of the century.
Yeah.
At least the decade. So yeah, I say see it, but go in knowing it's not great. Don't have high expectations if you're going to go see it. So that is The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, now out in theaters, and is also currently streaming on HBO Max, but only for 1 month, if I'm not mistaken there.
Yep.
So hurry up and see it. But yeah, and I think they have a couple of the other Conjuring and Annabelle movies on there as well.
They have all the Annabelles. I don't know about the others.
Okay. So there you go. I'm probably at some point gonna try to rewatch all of them in chronological order, because I like to do that.
Something I want to do myself at some point.
Yeah,
Well, I know somebody's got the timeline all figured out, so
yeah.
I saw it online.
Yeah. And heck, I do know that they are playing a couple other spin-offs in the future. Like, there's supposed to be a Crooked Man movie, and I do know there's supposed to be another Nun movie, which I'm assuming is going to be a prequel because the way the Nun ended. I kind of feel like that. Yeah, it can't really be a sequel to that. So it would make sense if it would be a prequel.
From what I remember, the Nun was probably the weakest of the films.
The first Annabelle movie was really bad.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'll probably say the weaker ones in the series would be the first Annabelle, The Nun, and The Curse of La Llorona, while the stronger ones, of course, are the first two Conjurings and Annabelle Creation. And Annabelle Comes Home was also pretty good as well.
Yeah, and that's the one you would want to watch now because that's the one where the slumber party turns into a disaster.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yep.
My failed script idea, which was already, it's already
Which
been.
actually, I believe Annabelle Comes Home might have been the first movie I reviewed. With I think that not the first movie I reviewed with you, Randy,
Right, with me.
but with you, yes. I think me and Thomas were first on together to do that movie.
Yep.
Wait a
But
minute.
that was our first.
Yep. Yeah, it was me, Matt, and also Amanda.
Oh, wow. Wait, no, I'm pretty sure we just did The Nun. No,
I didn't do the
Didn't
Nun.
do that.
didn't do The Nun. Okay. Well, I guess it was easily forgettable. But yeah, guys, that is The Conjuring 3. The Devil Made Me Do It. And yeah, it's okay. I didn't think it was great, but check it out if you want. So next I want to review something I actually saw last night, which was very, very silly, very ridiculous. And this is The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, which is actually a sequel to a 2017 movie called The Hitman's Bodyguard. Basically, it follows Ryan Reynolds as a security guard. Well, he's a bodyguard. In the first film, he's protecting a hitman, basically bringing him to a court hearing. And along the way, they get into some trouble. We are introduced to Salma Hayek's character, who is Samuel L. Jackson's wife in the movie. Now she's the one that needs protecting. And now the three of these ridiculous characters basically go on, it's kind of like a road comedy almost with bullets. And it's, like I said, totally ridiculous. I don't know. Have any of you guys seen the first one, the Hitman's Bodyguard?
I didn't even know it existed until you mentioned it.
Yeah.
I knew about it. I think I saw that it wasn't that good. I'm like,
Yeah.
Pass.
Yeah, it wasn't really a movie that interests me.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I wasn't really in the beginning interested, but actually Reynolds and Jackson have pretty good chemistry, and it is solidified in the sequel. In addition to Salma Hayek joining the cast, we also have Morgan Freeman, Antonio Banderas, Frank Grillo, Gabriella Wright, and Carolyn Goodall, who was actually Robin Williams' wife in Hook. And I was like, this lady looks familiar. And I looked her up and it's like, wow, okay, 30 years later, here she is. She's in this ridiculous movie. So this is the best she can do? No, but
That's the first thing she's done since Hook.
yeah. Yes.
What a weird choice.
She's supposed to be waiting for that.
I'm coming out of retirement for this sequel to a movie no one knew existed.
Basically, but yeah, no, she's done stuff, but you like maybe supporting roles. Yeah, so this movie, it's very silly. It's a typical Hollywood, product of the Hollywood studio system. It's really just made to entertain. And I saw it on the IMAX theater, which I was a little surprised that they would show it on that type of screen. But yeah, because it's it's a kind of a big spectacle.
Was it in 3D also?
No, not this time. But yeah, the first film and this one, they complement each other very well. I would recommend seeing them both. Again, if you want some just mindless entertainment. So yeah, that is The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. Also, Antonio Banderas has a really, I don't know if it's, I'm not going to spoil it, but he has a fun, he's a scenery chewing character. So I would see it just for him. And it is his first time. No, well, he's worked with Salma Hayek before.
Oh, I'm like, Mask of like. I'm like, now I'm thinking of Catherine Zeta-Jones.
No, you're thinking Desperado.
Yeah. Robert Rodriguez. Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Yeah, Once Upon, then the sequel, Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Nice. But it's nice to see them on screen together again, so that's pretty cool. Morgan Freeman's great as always, and yeah, basically Ryan Reynolds, Samuel Jackson, Salma Hayek. Give me your money, please, right? Would you guys see this after my slightly glowing review, Eric?
If it was on TV, the problem is I'd want to see the first one first. But I mean, it's one of those ones I have a feeling that if I'm watching it and it comes on, I wouldn't change the channel.
Gotcha. Thomas, how do you feel about this film?
I don't know. Probably, I think it looks a little too goofy for me, so I'm not really all that interested.
Gotcha. Matt Roran, what are your thoughts?
I'll probably end up seeing it anyway. The good old AMC A-list. I'm like, oh, what's there to see today? Oh, this is all that's left. Well, I do enjoy Ryan Reynolds. I enjoy Samuel L. Jackson.
Yep.
It was actually funny when I went to see Quiet Place 2. I actually saw it in the theater twice. But one of the times, it was like every trailer felt like it was Ryan Reynolds. Like it was like Free Guy and then that, and I was like,
yep.
Why are all of these Ryan Reynolds movies?
And you know what? He is in full Ryan Reynolds mode in this movie, and you can't escape it. That's just like his character now. It's
always been since
Deadpool.
Two guys and a girl. Yeah, I mean,
even before that.
Well, Deadpool kind of
playing that
solidified it.
Yeah.
That's what movie studios want now. They want that standard Reynolds character.
Yeah.
Well, I always think of the Reynolds sarcastic, snippy action guy. I think that was Blade Trinity when he got super ripped and he was still playing that sarcastic.
I know it was okay.
star.
Well, he is, because it was like Blade 3 comes out. I see Reynolds' body. I'm like, what? And then it's like I see him act, and I'm like, okay, he's still there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of like that weird moment when Chris Pratt went from Parks and Rec
right.
to Star-Lord, and you're just like, that guy, that doughy guy, and you're like, it's just interesting what a superhero movie does.
Yeah.
All right, your personality's still there.
I'm waiting for that to happen with Kumail Nanjiani.
Oh, I know. I can't wait.
Yeah, I was gonna say Eternal's coming out, so now you got him on the list.
There you go.
It's like one of those things. Like it's even better for me because I know that guy from like my brother used to do open mic stand-up comedy with him, like when he was up and coming, him and his wife. So it's like I've known that guy forever. Like, watched him go, grow as an artist, and it's just like boggles my mind thinking of him with muscles. It's like the most weird thing ever. It's like him.
Got that Marvel money.
It's so great.
It's crazy when you see that transformation from you can understand that they're a funny comedic actor, but then when you see that they're chiseled, it's like, what's going on here? And I think it was weird because it was Van Wilder where Reynolds was like kind of just regular, like kind of almost doughy even. But then I think the next year he did Blade Trinity, and that's when he exposed his physique. But
and I don't think it's ever looked as good as it did in that movie. It kind of like, I don't know. I don't think he ever buffed up for a movie after that. I think he just kind of was.
I think Green Lantern he bulked up quite a bit for. Problem is it's hard to see with like
I feel like
the full body suits he's wearing in both Deadpool and that.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But the Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard will be released theatrically on June 16th. So if you want some mindless entertainment, again, knock yourself out, have fun with that. Also, guys, I want to do some coming attractions for this week. We've got a crime thriller called The Birthday Cake, and this is a pretty crazy cast. I'm going to just list off the names. Ewan McGregor, Val Kilmer, Lorraine Bracco, William Fichtner, Ashley Benson, Penn Badgley, Aldous Hodge, Luis Guzman, David Mazouz from is that Mazouz? Bruce Wayne from Gotham. He's in it. We also have Emery Cohen, Paul Sorvino, and Vincent Pastore. So that's The Birthday Cake. It's a very great cast, and I love a good cast. So I'm going to probably check that out. We also have a French-Belgian drama called Summer of '85. We have an action comedy horror film called The Serpent. And this is pretty interesting. The Sparks Brothers.
Oh, I
which is
can't
a
wait.
Music documentary directed by Edgar Wright, Shaun of the Dead, The World's End, Hot Fuzz, Baby Driver. I mean, he's one of
Scott
the.
Pilgrim.
Thank you. Yes, he is probably one of the best working directors right now, and you know he really can do no wrong. I don't think.
I cannot wait to see Last Night in
Both of his
Soho.
movies coming out, I'm very excited for.
Yeah.
He's also got the horror horror movie coming out.
Yeah, Last Night in Soho.
So
Okay.
Yeah.
that comes out in October.
Nice.
But Sparks Brothers, I'm super excited about because Sparks are such an amazing band, an amazing weird band, and I saw the trailer for it and I couldn't believe it was real. I was like, oh my god, someone made a documentary about Sparks, and then I was like, Edgar Wright made a documentary about Sparks, so I'm very excited for that.
Perfect. Yeah, anything Wright touches is pretty much gold, and I'm excited for that for sure. So yeah, and plus I know nothing about the Sparks Brothers. I thought it was kind of like a mockumentary at first, but is it? It's a real. It's a real,
they're real.
They're very real.
super real. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna check that one out for sure. And last on the list, we've got Siberia, a drama fantasy horror film starring Willem Dafoe and directed by Abel Ferrara, who did Bad Lieutenant and another Willem Dafoe movie. I think it's called At Eternity's Gate, where he plays Vincent Van Gogh, which was pretty good. Wasn't a fantastic film, but visually it was very striking and it had very great performance from Willem Dafoe. I don't think I've seen Willem Dafoe in a bad performance. He's just such a talented actor. I don't know why he doesn't have an Oscar right now, but maybe he will with this movie. We'll see. So
I was rooting for him in Florida Project.
Oh, that was great. Yeah, he came close to winning it too, right? Best support.
Yeah.
But also The Lighthouse, also a great film, great performance.
Yes.
Anything that the company 824 does, I'm all for because that's a fantastic distribution company. 824 guys, mostly like smaller films, but always quality film. So guys, we have a couple minutes left. I just want to go around with plugs, anything that's going on, any projects you want to mention, Mr. Roran?
I'm just hanging out at Pickle Island. It's down in Bayville. Come hang out with us and buy some pickles, buy some CDs and some DVDs, and hang out with us. The comic books.
I can't wait to be there. It's gonna be soon, Matt.
Buy CD Slickers too on VHS.
Yes. That's my dream,
I'll
right?
have to come by when I visit in the future.
There we go.
Thomas, any projects you're working on, or?
Well, guess I'll promote my friend Michael Ciani's shirt company, as I always do. Gutter Garbs. There's some new Child's Play 2 shirts available now, and also my friend Michael is actually going to be expanding his shirt company now. So he's going to be now putting together another website called Shockham Threads, which is going to be focusing on some some apparel from Ozzy Osbourne. So there's going to be some Ozzy Osbourne shirts coming from Shockham Threads this summer.
Very cool. I still need to buy some of those shirts. It's coming. By the way, I would say Child's Play 2 might be one of my. It might be my favorite of the entries in the Chucky films.
Yeah. I've always liked the tagline of Chucky coming off Jack in the Box head saying, "Sorry, Jack, Chucky's back."
Yeah, really good marketing there. I remember that poster vividly, actually.
Oh yeah, I used to be scared of that poster.
Yeah, I think any kid growing up in the late 80s, early 90s can attest to that. So cool. Eric, anything you wish to promote, sir?
Not up to much. I think I'm going to be ended up doing a little Conjuring marathon because as bad as the first Annabelle was, I'm pleasantly surprised by how good the sequel is. So I'm going to keep it going.
Sweet. I love it. I might do the same actually.
Mhm.
All right. And also, guys, I should have mentioned this at the top of the show, but today is a very special day in case you haven't noticed already. It's June 8th, and basically that is Ghostbusters Day, guys. And
Ah,
wish everyone watching and listening that if you're a fan of the franchise or even just the first movie, for me it's touched me in a very special and profound way. My earliest memories are basically going to the movie theater with my parents to see Ghostbusters 2. It's 1989, 4 years old, and I remember the movie poster in the subway, and I actually tried to peel it off, and I wanted it for myself. I couldn't peel it, but yeah, I have the memory of that. You have the action figures, you've got just the animated series, the real Ghostbusters. You've got fast forward 30 years, you've got me in a jumpsuit, and I'm marching in the Village Parade in New York City with the Ghostbusters. I had no idea until a couple of years ago that you can be a Ghostbuster as an adult, and I am proud to be part of the New York City Ghostbusters. And it's a franchise that just it keeps it'll never die. It's timeless. It's funny. It's exciting. It's scary at times, and it's got great actors who are, putting on great performances. And it's the message of Ghostbusters for me is all about teamwork, and how even though you're part of a team, you're bringing something individual and special to the team, to the table. So it's about teamwork and individualism at the same time. It's a weird thing, but it works. And yeah, I love it. And happy Ghostbusters Day to everybody. I know a bunch of different chapters, Ghostbusters across the world, were at the firehouse today, downtown Manhattan in Tribeca. There was a special ceremony they gave the firehouse a new sign, and I think they gave them a plaque as well. Basically, it's the sign you see hanging in the movie right outside above the doors of the firehouse. And really cool. Wish I could have made it, but I had work. But I was there in spirit. So yeah,
who are you gonna call?
yeah.
The Warrens.
So yeah, guys. I mean, for me, Ghostbusters Day is every day. So yeah, really happy to share with you fine gentlemen tonight, and to everybody watching at home. So this has been Under the Radar. I'm your host, Randy Unger, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.